현재 잼버dondan hingmi zone monum jembor nga gyada agar darngam sando shirmer do tomba tuje janla ki shamsar ne jaro tsering jangam son jawar tuje shan yela jime banzo jala zora da gongje toban bor shinji lo gongje toban bor shinji lo gongje toban bor shinji lo
The supreme, profound, and sublime Dharma is difficult to encounter in a billion eons. Now I see it, hear it, receive it, and kept it. I vow to attain the true meaning of the Tathagata. In order to liberate all sentient beings, let us generate the supreme bodhicitta.
时间长一点啊，因为今天的内容比较多。这个小的人呢，龙蛋白托不结罗，阳光的比例呢，对象上班可然就些就点的小呢。这把我们讲这个上节点参图呢，什么这个比例，各自个大话当上菜话当吃。多讲我不是呢，刚才的个人上不上节东个地是长青第二步的节呢，龙蛋白托不结罗，阳光的比例是。대전 서박 세트지션 지텐더 쇼노 개방은 간지그 산제팀 찬토브르티 나간송고네 스나면 머통자 스떡들 하미데야 퍼즘 소바 롱 퍼즘 소바라 롱쇼버는요 양은 까라 호드메 바짱메 바건고 롱고 시메니 디피티스 대전 서바 rumboche number garaji shawan jitender shono 개방은 간지그 산제팀 산 양띠제 대비정 서버 점처럼 시험답지 스토블레 상주 상화 첨부 사이년부 짜르네 장대 비모에 빌 항아 살압 sig네 존던데 란더크도 서로 존던데 당 더터 따로 샤테 레름 랍쇼 비심절 남기 점밥당 제버 체총 라그자르나 가리티와 측도 소놈 라롱수 쇼바당 가리티와 퓨르 소놈 라롱수 쇼바당 가리티와 gyabchak tomchak wartab sonam chimbola longsu shopa yodna di gyamsan jibshir lag chondan de jib daglap tandak sura di zib chondan de jib shanju sangwa chimbo sayi nyambo lab kar sarab dakka tangdar samchi tsaksam gil hayi pupchanga charda kopi gangzag nam la zamyon langa samchir nam jib jimbab tangwam driva chichongar nam shab chobar shawo sayi nyambo kyoki lagbar nyon la yilla zongshik ngi kyo lap tambar shawo teni shanju sangwa sayi nyambo chondan de lak sura lakso chondande dagandar tokbab dokbe sambaran dodo tene chondande ji sai nyambo la ka sarwa zamwalangar gyarbo dang gyarbo dannan don dang lumbo chimbo dang dannan don dang gyarbo lumbo chimbo dang chimdag chimbo dang gyargi chimbo dang tramzerig chimbo la sokba te dag shind rig la sokba te dag ne shind rig mawi gorbo ne zon yawo dang kigba dang gomba dang longwa dang lunmo war namla sokbe wombo matsang war namlam chapa na gyarbo chimbo la sokba te taglab jimbab jimbar do pi tse shamba chimbo dang amawi sem dang zimbim dang sokdang dambir gone shke nguji semjin tamchil la kyabi jimbab shiba gam jalab jindab chigba gam nyambar ma jang wo yongor shina gyarbo chimbo te tagla sokbe kongolong shimani gyab chaka changdam somba sangi lam chupan barbib sonam dam nyambar tobo te chibjir jina gyarbo chimbo la sokba shinda gorwa dang rig mawa dang wombo matsangwa la sokba la shamba sim chimbo kine tertir jimbar shibi so Tedagno gyab chak tong chak nang da rumbo chesh nab dandan dambar kerna ze dang ku dang longshu so dang ba nar mu ma go so yang sai nyambo ma wong jikten namsir gyarbo chimbo dang dannan don sogne zong jamzi chimbo warji semjin tedag gomba dang churten dang sangji jir kagzig dang shangchu sangwir kagzig dang nyantu jir kagzig dang rangzang jir kagzig so Jarvar kirna jarbo chimbola soba ngus rang ga te taglam chubam barwagam jimbab tana dinab kar xsim gi ward gyapshin gi komon toba gdeva pazum soba la long shobran gyoro gatid jimbir gi sa lana me bi shanjib to ngor shina dinab jarbo chimbola soba karwa ji nang da tag da chamba chimbu kompang tobran gyoro sai nyambo mawon jikne namsir jarbo chimbo ne zong jamzi La sokba te da qarngunji sanji jim churten dang gomba dang sonrob dang kigzig la sokba kanzig gzhan ji chum jang lagbrib shibam tongna gyarwo la sokba namgi te da jigsu shibi sim kiene rangrangib shiba gama gzhan lab shitib chigba ne zonte kanzig gyab chik tong chik namgi jimbab shiba la sokbim jiran jogbrib shitib chigna gerbola soba de tam chada ge yapchak tongchang nam sirtag dum khurlo giru gerbo chimbo litun tobrin gero de dam nyam dag jen jimbab ji ba tag jan ge yapchak tongchang nam zi sirtag der yapchin nam ji gerbulten tobrin gero ka chin churtin dam Churten dang gumba nam jimdun da gersa te da lana mi bi shanchib da ngu si zna gerbo ne zon kanzag te da tamchi sanji ji lam jabrin gyoro ti nan da da qar namr min bim jewe na khud me ba tang ta yi ba yeno sai nyam bo ma won jite nam s gerbo chimbo ne zon jamze la so ba te da nam ji gambo da na pa da jma la so ba ton na te la shamba chimbo da dam be sim kaji kiba sam kajik zam kiba ne dedglar mandang zaptongdang marcha la so ba jimbab tangni dealap ko prshena di phayum sam gimi kiba to te karab japchak nang karab japchak nang da tagdo ani xami liv da bur jerwa tang karab japchak ni gi nang da tagdo dolar chik da bur jerwa tang lariam zob san gi gi komo to ngansung gone stan da martong ane zon karab japchak tongchak namse yang dingor gi jazam ya nawe matubran gero sai nyambo maung jite namse gerbo ne zon jamze la so ba te ta khater ter jimbab jeni son khodam me ba to ba yeno karti lana mi bi chan jib gi ngwi zi zin na ge sa mangnyo gang yang rong tamchit ta tik zog ba san ji gi ko mo to bi gerin gerne karwa nerkip tsangba dang gyapshan dang khurlo gero gerbu ko mo to ne mu toban mu mago so deni dinan sai nyambo kyoji semjar namla yongsu karne semjin tamji gi der tar da labra shawo tamji gi der tar labra sai nyambo maung jite namse rigdiwa mo kanjik san gi gi tambandara gesa chongzu jubate 자니거든 시마든 득전점 시비장 텔레토베 파윤 후임 손도메 바고 사이년보 마운지테 남스 리기오 모 강직 산지지 끄즈기던 잔주산 끄즈기던 난산지 끄즈기던 코라 코르도 게르 끄즈기 남 토네 텔랍 점바금 초버시는 소노 후드메 바토테 딱들 함이데어 퍼즘 소바 토발 롱쇼브른 게로 카텔라나미 비샹집도 흥고위 찌즈나 디 소노 후임 손도메 바고 사이년보 마운지테 남스 리기오 모 강직 타바 진붐 노르데담 차네 디 츠익직감 츠익직점 투버 게르네 데라 럭비삼비 계정 토바담 거르시바담 짐바담 초반 버버시나 강석템 제브 진보 후드메 바담 타이바 토바 유노 카텔라나메 비흥고 라나메 비샹집도 흥고 시즌나 디 소놈 게회놈 손도메 바고 사이냥보 마운 직테 남스리 기오모 강지거 산지짐 저던노 곰바담 타바 진보 zonramadam 단네 직테 스티는 서바테 더글랍 짐바금 초반 버르나 타바 초반 버바금 타바담 총서라담 돈 시바당 기베 달모자로 시비 냐와 남 영어 지그르드 제라 남나 직소 시바당 서바 장 서정 시바 공데 먹직네 멍볼라 그마 시나 테드 탐체장 제 섬시 능더 딱더 렵천 남지 저원 저로데 테드글레 짐바 시비 강즈 남지 딱던 콜로 지르 저보 저네 담비 출랍테네 렵천 테드 어더르시바 요노 사이냥보 마운지테 남즈 리디오 모 강지가 산지 기탄반더 게스탐 참 시바테 대형 같은 짐바금 초반 버바담 출텐당 곰발라 지소시바당 손럽 기스템 자만에 좀 뻔히가 지그 담을 듣정 지금 심막 지금 치츠 지그 게위사와 남jam라나미 비상집도 흥위 시즌나 디 파티와 동적 잡적 남스 라나미 비 대발로 저버는 겨로 가테 게위사와 대덕냥 ರಂ거 쳔마당 년코르당 라니 라팜비체도 흥오를 시나 dim jewe yang kiwa sim kiwa de dewa la long shobren gyoro de lam jewe chuto ber girpungwa jifyao sai nyambo jimba tongwi gedang kinjir na ber jagba na tertre yeno sai nyambo savr monum dim dole jimbi phayun jupa leger tep chibago今年讲什么？讲地藏经是吧？
So today we are going to have a class on Ksitigarbha Sutra, right?
真的吗？
Is that
告
correct?
诉我是吧？
Really?
地藏经的话，首
You're
先
sure, right?
讲一下一个公案。
Okay, so Ksitigarbha Sutra.
先在
Let us open the class with a story related to it first. There was once a person from Taizhou City, and his name's Chen. He has lots of filial piety and gratitude towards his parents. So he built houses as well as a shrine hall for Ksitigarbha, as well as Avalokiteshvara, so that his parents could make offerings to the two statues. After a while, this person died of illness, and after he stopped breathing for 2 hours, he revived from death. And after he revived from death, he started prostrating to his parents as well as weeping, and told them about his own experience in Bardo. Even in Bardo, he had lots of gratitude towards his parents. After he arrived at the Yama, after he arrived to see the Yama in the Bardo, he saw the image that he built, or the statue that he built when he was alive. And that statue was in the shrine hall of the Yamas as well. So the two statues were there along with the Yama to receive him. And then the two Bodhisattvas started to ask the Yama, saying that, how come our benefactor is here? Our benefactor is here. And then the Yama replied, saying that this person's life has already ended. And the Bodhisattvas continue to ask, saying that, well, life does not have a set amount. There's no set amount to longevity, to lifespan. If one were to create virtuous deeds, and that could prolong the life, that should be able to prolong the life of the person. So the Yama started to look over his records of his life, and then indeed it says that if one were to build the holy statues, and then the person could be extended for 40 years. The result of 40 years is because the 20 years is extended because of this person's filial piety, and the other 20 years is so that he could keep pay filial piety. And then at that time, a prison guard told the Yama, saying that his son has only 10 years of lifespan. And the Yama replied, saying that, well, since Chen and his child, his son, can extend the lifespan, if that's the case, then they should their lifespan should be extended. And then at that time, Chen woke up and returned back to the human realm, and ever since then he developed lots of faith towards Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. And from this we can see, if one were to build Ksitigarbha statue as well as Avalokiteshvara statue, even for the parents, but the person whosoever built the statues can receive great benefits as well. These stories are told by the stories of the Ksitigarbha Sutra. Lots of the stories are very related, and the stories are very similar as well. Whenever you have time, or whenever I have time, I will tell you more stories from here. Sometimes from a story or example, we'll be able to see our own reflections or our own shadows. Because when we're still alive in this world, we can make Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva statue to paint it with gold, or rejoicing to the ones who listen or study the Ksitigarbha Sutra, or study and listen to the Ksitigarbha Sutra yourself. The merit is indeed very inconceivable. I think this time I'm quite satisfied with the numbers of people listening to the Ksitigarbha Sutra, though not as I expected, but it's still pretty good. I noticed that many of you really want to listen to the teaching and definitely paid lots of attention to it. I will try my best to finish the teaching on this soon. I understand that people have to spend a lot of time to study, and I myself have to spend lots of time to give the teachings. To myself, whenever I finish giving a teaching, I feel very happy about that. I understand that we still have a few teachings that we haven't finished yet, such as Uttara Tantra Shastra. And whenever the conditions are, whenever we have all the favorable conditions, I will continue with those teachings, with those texts. So now let's move on to the 10th chapter, Comparison on Merits Derived from Giving Alms. Over here, comparison or measurement to measure the merits that's derived from giving alms. Indeed, even if people were to give the same amount of material, but if your aspirations are different, then as well as if the object of your generosity is different, then the merit would also be very different. At that time, through the Buddha's divine power, the divine power aspect, I think we should understand as a Buddhist, the great powers and everything that we have are of the blessings or divine power from the Buddhas or Bodhisattvas, and sometimes from the teachers. It is very closely correlated to our lineage teachers. In fact, whatever we have, our capacity, our insights, all of those. Some Buddhists, however, whenever they have some fame and some capacity, and then they would forget about their lineage masters, they would forget about all of the gratitudes and kindness that's given to themselves from the lineage masters. And in that way, we can say that this person is not a decent person. Look at Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. Over here, he said that because of the Buddha's blessings or divine power, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva Mahasattva rose from his seat. And he knelt down, just like at that time how Indians in India, how their culture would be. So Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva knelt down on one knee with his palms joined and addressed the Buddha, saying, "World-honored one, I observed that the alms given by sentient beings in the karmic path generated different amounts of benefits. Some acts result in blessings for one lifetime to 10 lifetimes. Then there are acts that generate great blessings for hundreds to thousands of lifetimes. I wish the world-honored one would explain to me the reason for this difference." So some sentient beings even for the same kind of generosity or giving the same kind of things, but the results that's generated are very different. So the merit that they receive are different. Why is that? We can look around. There are people, for example, 10 people would pay visits to the same monastery, and even if each of them would donate $100 to them, to the Sangha or to the Buddha statue, but each of them have different aspiration and have different method. Even the money is the same, the amount is the same, but the merit is very different. Some could gain great merit for one lifetime, some could gain great merit for 10, 100, and thousands of lifetimes, and some even more. Therefore, after studying this sutra, we should understand the importance of making aspiration. And over here he said that, I wish the world-honored one would explain to me the reasons for the difference. So could you please explain to all of us why there are such difference? Because we don't understand that what we give is the same and the same to the same object, then how could the merit be different? At that time, the Buddha told Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, saying that, now at this great gathering in Kstigarbha's palace, I shall expound the comparable weight of merit generated from almsgiving in Jambudvipa. So many people were gathered at Kstigarbha's palace. There were ghost kings and humans, non-humans, devas, and bodhisattvas. There's so many attended that Dharma assembly. And over here he said that I shall now expound the different kinds of merits that could be generated for the beings in Jambudvipa, because Jambudvipa is the place of karma, where the sentient beings in Jambudvipa could receive the fruition or feel the fruition very quickly. And the Buddha then said that, now I shall expound this, so listen attentively to my explanation. And Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva said to the Buddha, I will gladly listen to your answers, because I still have some doubts. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva saying that, well, I still have some doubts, I still have some confusion, rather. He then said that why some of the merits are so great and some of them are not. Please, world-honored one, please expound that for us. Please explain it. Upon hearing this, I think we should reflect upon ourselves. Whenever we listen to the Dharma in classes, we should generate a sense of happiness. We should generate a sense of interest. This is quite important. Every time we come to the shrine hall to listen to the teaching or listen to the teaching through radios or computers, we should generate a sense of interest and happiness and have the sense of curiosity and eagerness that I am going to receive the Mahayana teachings. And it's so rare to receive in one's lifetime, and you should be very happy about it. Like Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, he was very happy to listen to the world-honored one's teaching. If we can also contemplate that the profound teachings of Mahayana is very difficult to obtain in even hundreds and thousands of kalpas, and the Dharma is difficult to hear, and the human body is very difficult to attain, we should have a sense sense of eagerness. Do not feel that, oh no, I have to attend the tutoring again. I have to listen to a class again. It's just so annoying. I don't want to. I feel so tired. Maybe I should lie to the Khenpos and Khenmos. I'm ill. Maybe that person's not ill at all. Maybe they just feel a little tired. And if they were to feel that listening to the Dharma is a pressure, then that's really not good. In fact, listening to the Dharma is quite difficult. We should generate a sense of happiness in our mind, just as if we are going to enjoy the nectars. And then, because the Buddha noticed that the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva really want to listen to the teaching, and the same as us, we also really want to listen to the teaching from the Buddha as well. The Buddha's teaching nowadays are in written words. We are quite delighted to be able to receive the teachings of the Buddha. So over here, the Buddha told Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, saying that in Jambudvipa there are people with the greatest earthly blessings, such as kings, high-ranking government officials, or honorable elders, Kshatriyas, Brahmins, and others. They may encounter people who have the least blessings, such as those who are the most destitute, or those who are mute, deaf, or blind, or those who have hunchbacks and disabilities, mental illness, and or physical deformities, all kinds of disabilities and destitute, all kinds of people who are very poor living in this world. So the king and the others, the ones that's listed above, the ones who are rich or have a high social status, all of those people may personally give alms to these least blessed people with a great compassion and smiles with humility. Nowadays, I think people don't really give or feel generous to the others with a sense of humility. I think people tend to be very arrogant. They would talk with a sense of arrogance. They have no smile on their face. They would just say that, why don't you go and give them money? But the great kings and the blessed people would personally give alms to those least blessed people with great compassion and smiles, and especially with humility. They have such humility. They don't have any arrogance at all. They don't feel a sense of that they are better when they are giving to the others. I made a point to the charity, to my charity, and I told them that whenever you are helping the students, I really hope that you do not look down on others. I really hope that you do not talk to the others with a sense of humiliation. And I told them that especially you should not use any sense of shaming or humiliating others, or any tone of such at all. Because maybe you have money in this lifetime, but not the next. But nowadays, I think whenever people have even a little bit of capacity, a little bit of of money and status, they feel completely arrogant. Over here it says that people should give with a sense of great compassion and smile and give with their own hands. And this kind of generosity is not picking on certain ones that they would give and certain ones they won't give. Rather, this kind of generosity is of great equanimity. Also, throughout the process of giving to the others, they have the gentle manner and peaceful language, as well as a smiling expression. All of those are very important. If you were to use a language of comforting language, if we speak of loving language and gentle language, all of these kind of body, mind, and speech aspects are complete. If you have the mind essence, that's the compassion, and then if you could carry devotion in your body, in your physical aspect, and then with smile, with the sense of respect in your speech, all of these would be complete. And if you were to give with this, with a complete virtuous body, speech, and mind, then whenever we give to the others, even for the ones who are very poor and in great destitute situation, they would remember your expression because they are very fragile inside. So over here then it continues to say that they may motivate others to give alms and console these impoverished or disabled people. For those aforementioned blessed people, from king to Brahmins, who do so, they shall receive benefits equivalent to the greatest from equivalent to the generated from giving alms to as many Buddhas as there are sands in hundreds of Ganges rivers. According to Bodhisattva, it says that if one were to only pay respect to the Buddha but not the sentient beings, how is it reasonable?
有何道理的意思？为什么这样呢？就是那么这些这个国王等等啊，就是国王等婆罗门等等，就是这些呢，于是对这个贫穷啊，就是简卑的这些不完具的这些人呢，其实这个发了这个大乘的这种菩提心啊，这个慈悲心。那么这个缘故呢，这个福利呢，就是有如此的这个福报啊。那这样的话呢，就是他们这个拜虔诚当中的话，常常呢就是记住这个七宝啊，就是七宝记住。更何况说是什么一。
They humble themselves from their lofty positions to help those most impoverished or disabled people. Hence, these kings and other blessed people will receive such great blessings in return. And they will have ample amount of treasures for hundreds and thousands of lives, not to mention food, clothing, and other daily necessities. The reason is the reason of them receiving great merit is because they've generated great compassion. So that is why they have great merit, because of great compassion, because they've given up the selfishness when they make offerings or when they give or help the less fortunate. But whenever we provide materials to the others, we provide to the others with a sense of selfishness, and therefore we don't generate as much of a merit. According to the Shastra of the great noble one, it says that if one were to make offering with great compassion, then the merit that's generated is just like the great earth. Is just like the great earth. And if one were to make offerings to the others with selfishness, then such merit would be like a seed of mustard. According to Mahaprajna Paramita Shastra, it says that the generosity of mundane beings are like trading on the market, but the generosity of Bodhisattvas are completely pure. Therefore, the merit that is received are definitely different. So it says that in the Mahaprajna Paramita Shastra, it says that though the material that's given to the others are the same, but the merit received are different. The reason is that the mind that's generated during giving the material is different. Because some make the supreme aspiration when they make offering, and some would make the aspiration that is rather inferior. As it is said that when Shariputra made offering to the Buddha, when he offered food to the Buddha, and the Buddha, upon receiving his offering, he made the offering of the same food to a dog, and then asked Shariputra, saying that, "What do you think? Is the merit of you making offering to me could receive bigger or greater benefits, or my offering to the dog?" What do you think is the better offering? What do you think is the kind of offering that would receive a bigger benefit or greater merit? And Shariputra said that it must be the Buddha's merit would be greater, because when we think of it, what is our choice? One of the object of offering is the Buddha, and the other one is a hungry dog. What would we choose? Of course, we would definitely make offering to the Buddha. And Shariputra, when he makes the offering as a Shravaka, he definitely has a sense of selfishness. So when we look at this from this aspect, we definitely would understand that the Buddha would gain greater merit and not Shariputra, because the Buddha has this vast mind and this great compassion. But when Shariputra makes the offering, that kind of offering is mixed with self-centeredness and selfishness. Therefore, the sense of aspiration, that motivation is really the key. In Buddhism, of course, we talk about the difference in the object of offering. For example, the merit field of gratitude, such as our parents and the elderly, and the merit field of compassion, such as the beggars, and merit field of fortune, all the way from the first bhumi to the 10th bhumi to the Buddhahood. Those are all of our object of offering. If we have our mind, if our mind is vast and pure, then the merit would be vast and pure. Otherwise, it is not.
自己就是以菩提心来摄受啊，或者是以这个清净的心来
According to the Sixth Paramita Sutra, it says that if one were to practice offering with a sense, if one were to make offerings with the sense of impure motivation, if one were to make offering with pure intention, but the object of receiving the offering is not pure, but that kind of motivation could still generate great benefit and great merit, and such merit would be immeasurable. That is to say, even if you make offering to a certain guru, but then later found out that that guru is not very proper.
所以呢，就是应该是这个发心不，即便是发心不清净的话呢，就是也能得到这个功德。
But even after finding out this guru is not a genuine guru, is a charlatan, and
所以说呢，我们这个心就是还是很
that is mainly because you don't have enough merit to
那么接下来呢，就是
have
说
the
这个
pure
佛慈啊，就是说
merit
这个地藏菩
filled
萨，
of
如
making
果未
such
来世当
offering.
中有国王，
However,
还有
if
一
you
直到
have
这个婆
a
罗门，
pure
就是他这个
motivation
国王到婆
to
罗门
propagate the
这些人
Dharma to
一直
benefit
是
sentient
讲这
beings,
个故事
then
者
the
那么
merit
他
would
们呢，
still
就是
be
遇到
pure.
这个
Therefore, the
佛塔，
motivation is
遇
the
到
most
这个佛
important.
舍，还有呢，就是这个佛的这种
So
造像
furthermore,
啊，不管是
Ksitigarbha, in the
像也好，塑
future,
像也好，
these
还有什么
aforementioned
这个
blessed
意象啊、
people
金
from
像、音
kings
像
to
等等，
Brahmins
来自这个菩萨
may
的像、
come
声闻的
across
像，还有这
Buddhist
个毗婆的
monasteries,
像啊，
stupas,
如果
statues of
这些像
Buddhas,
看到了以
let
后
it be
呢，就是
golden
那么
or
这个
silver or
就
wooden,
公子
and the
印办，就
Bodhisattvas,
是那么亲
arhats,
自呢，就
or
是去自己
Pratika
亲手
Buddhas,
去供养
if they
啊，就亲手
personally
去供养和
and
布施，就是
respectfully
他这里
make
供养布施
offerings
是基本上是
and
一个意
give
思，就是
alms
去
to
去
these
看到这些
statues,
这个
monasteries,
就佛像也好，
etc.
佛寺也好，这
Then
个这些
these
功德天的
kings
时候呢，
and
你
other
去这个
blessed
布施的
people
话呢，那
shall
么是国
attain
王等等这
karmic
些呢，在
fruitions
这个
of
三个界
becoming
当中就是成为
chakra
什么
for
呢？
3
就是第
kalpas
十
and
天的圣像，
receive
然后呢，
great
就是享
blessings.
受这个殊胜的妙乐。啊，就是
Well, over
如果能
here,
依次
if
布
they
施
were
这
to
个福
make
德力呢，
offering
就
to
是
them
会上这个法
by
界
their own
啊，就会
hands
上法界的
or
话呢，那么
personally,
就是愿这个天下无边的一切众生呢，
make
就
such
是
offering
获
and
得了
give
就是最后的这
to
个
all of
菩
these
提这个法界的
statues
这样的
and
过位，就是他真正会上
statues
法
of
界的话呢，我们看你
Bodhisattvas,
经常会
Buddhas,
上法界，但会
Shravakas,
上法界的话
and
呢，
Pratika
直接说可
Buddhas,
能会上法界
then they
就不
will
是
be
很好
able
功德了，
to
就是但实际
receive
上呢，就是这个功德为
attain
主
the
呢，就是
karmic
愿这个
fruition
天
of
下无边的
becoming
一切
chakras
众
for
生，
3
然后呢，就是
kalpas
得
and
到这
receive the
个
great
法界
blessings.
不二的
They
这个
shall
菩提
attain
果位，就是
karmic
以这样
fruition
的
of
这个做
becoming
会上
great
的话呢，
Brahma
那
if
么
they
这些
dedicate the
这个
merit
国王
from
等等，
their
就是这些
act
国王等
of
等的话呢，就
devotion
是
to
那么
Dharma
啊，
Dhatu,
就是
the
欲在这
Dharma
个世
realm,
个界
which
当中呢，
encompass
就是
everything
常
past,
常
present,
成为
and
什么呢？
future,
就是
including
大梵天王
phenomena,
啊，就在我们实践当中是应该这个天
definable
王寺就是
within
最有福报
confine
的
of
啊，就是
space
最
and
有福报
time.
的，就所以说呢，
In our world,
得到就是这
great
样的这个
Brahma
功德。
has the
然后呢，
most
就是就
merit.
佛告诉这个地藏王菩萨，就如果未来世呢，有
Therefore,
这个
having
国
such
王
kind
一
of
直到这个
merit
刚才讲的
is
这个
quite
婆罗门之间
incredible.
的这些人呢，遇到了
then
这个仙佛的这个啊，就是过去已经
Buddha
涅槃了的，
continued
就是
to
已经
state,
这
saying
个
that
就像这个迦瑟佛啊，就是或者
additionally,
是释迦牟尼佛啊，
Ksitigarbha
或
in
者
the
是
future,
什么过
these
去已经这
aforementioned
个实
blessed
现涅槃
people
了的这些
from
佛的这个
kings
佛塔，
to
或者是
Brahmins
佛的
may
这种这
encounter
个
old
庙宇
Buddhist
啊
monasteries,
就那么
Buddhist
或者呢，就是
stupas,
这些佛这个传下来的
Buddha
这些这个
statues
经典啊，
and
就是他
sutras
们的这
that
个
had
这个
been
佛菩萨的
severely
像啊，
damaged.
这些呢，如果在中
So
间呢，就是
all
就
the
会坏
previous
啊，就是
Buddhas
破坏，
and
或者是说
the
破落，就是破
statues
碎，
of the
就是这样
previous
的话呢，
Buddhas, as
你
well
就
as the
如果能
teachings,
发心，就是
the
把它就是
sutras
修补啊，
and
就是像
monasteries,
以前的话呢，就是都有这
all of
个
them will be
这
encountered.
种寺庙也是会坏的，就是我小的时候的话呢，
And
就是
these
不管到哪
kings
里去，
and
经
others
常
may
看得
resolve
到就是
to
这
restore
种
these
这个寺庙
monasteries,
的这
stupas,
种
etc.
破
I
庙
remember
啊，
that
就是
when I
然
was
后
young,
就是有一些这个镜像的话呢，就
wherever
是
I
经常
go,
是
I
那
can
个
see
就是会坏的，
lots
就是
of
这些
the
就是那现在的
destroyed
话呢，还算是
monasteries
真
and
的是还
stupas.
可以的，除了极个别的有些国家就是被什么其他宗教
But
破坏
nowadays,
的
I think
以外的话呢，就是现在大多数的
many
这
of
个
them
寺院的
are
话呢，就是
already
也这个算是这个已经
are
恢复
already
嘛，就是那么
mended
这样的
or
话呢，可能就是
restored.
在个别的这种寺院当中
The
呢，就是看
government
到一些壁画，
put
就是
lots
可
of
能已经
energy
这个
in
就时
restoration
间
as
就是
well.
太长了，
So
有可能
it's
就是
getting
可能
better.
有一些淤碎，就是
I
就
also
冲掉的，就
remember
是
that
正在
when I
毁坏的
was
啊，或者说
around
是
my
一些造
teenage
像呢，就是真的
years
需要维
and
修啊，
around that time, I often see many destroyed Buddha statue and stupas, as well as some of the murals after long period of rain and different weather. So definitely lots of restoration are needed. But in general, I think nowadays it's mainly restored. Of course, there are lots of old monasteries still need more restoration. And then these kings and others may resolve to restore these monasteries, stupas, etc. They may personally finance and manage the restoration, or persuade others to make charitable donations to finance or participate in restoration. Nowadays, people would do that online. They would ask others to make donations. Nowadays, I notice that there are so many people who are very passionate in persuading others to make charitable donations. I think people are very different in that way. There are people who don't have much money but really enjoys or has that kind of habit to make donations. Even if they have 100, they would donate 50, or sometimes they would donate all. And some of them, they have lots of wealth, but whenever they talk about donation or charitable actions, they would say that, well, why don't you all make donations to the others? But they themselves would not donate at all. So it is not really a matter of having wealth or not. It is a matter of how you have the habit of making donations or not. Because there are people who would only propagate on making donations, but they themselves would not donate at all. In fact, the true generosity is that you should be part of it as well. When you make donations, don't be stingy, don't regret. Otherwise, if you were to donate everything you have and then you have no money to go back home and you don't even have the money to buy the fare to take a bus home, and then you have to ask others to make donations for you, and in that way, it is not really good. And it does not matter how many people were persuaded to join the effort, but be it one or hundreds or thousands who make donations and create a karmic affinities. In future hundreds and thousands of rebirths, everyone who initiate the restoration from kings to Brahmins shall become Chakravartins. So out of all the kings and Brahmins and all of those blessed people, they could become Chakravartins, the universal monarch. Those who are persuaded to participate or make donations shall often be reborn as kings of small countries for hundreds of thousands of lives. If at the conclusion of repair and restoration, these kings and other participants of restoration dedicated this merit to the Dharmadhatu in front of these stupas and monasteries, then these kings and others shall all attain Buddhahood. The rewards from the fruition of these acts are boundless and immeasurable. According to the Sutra, there was once a bhikshu during the time of Vipashin Buddha. Because he repaired the stupa and restored the monasteries, so within 91 kalpas, he did not born in lower realms. He was always born with a golden aura and was absolutely beautiful in his forms, and also very dignified. And during Shakyamuni Buddha's time, were many, there was one bhikshu there was also one bhikshu who encouraged others to restore the stupa as well, and that person was also very much revered. So even if you accumulate any little bit of merit, the fruition would be measurable. Similarly, if we were to destroy the Buddha statue, the misdeeds is also quite grave as well. Nowadays, I think there are people who are very devoted in Buddhism, but maybe previously they've slandered the Dharma or the Sangha out of ignorance. Now we're living in this very peaceful world compared to previous times, compared to at the time when the previous generation had to go through lots of difficulties and ups and downs. At that time, people had to do things that they don't really want to do at all. Maybe out of that, they had to create lots of negative deeds. And for that, you have to practice confession, such as Bodhisattva, such as a practice upon emptiness, so that when at the time of death, you won't encounter great difficulty. And then the Buddha continued to say that moreover, then it's Dini in Tibetan language, it means later. Then, moreover, Ksitigarbha in the future, the aforementioned blessed people from kings to Brahmins may encounter people in need, such as the old, the sick, or pregnant women. These people, the old, the sick, they definitely suffer a lot, and the pregnant women also would have lots of pain. If their hearts are instantly filled with compassion, so they provide medicine, food, and other necessities which allow these people in need to find peace, the resulting benefit and blessings are quite unimaginable. For 100 kalpas they shall often be Lord of pure abode heaven. For 200 kalpas they shall be Lord of the 6 heavens of desire. Eventually they shall become Buddhas and shall never fall into the realms of suffering. For 100 and thousands of lives the suffering will not even come near their earshot. They will not hear any suffering at all for hundreds and thousands of lives. So whenever we have opportunity, we should give medicine and food and other necessities to the old, the sick, and the pregnant women. And then the merit is imaginable. According to the Chinese Tripitaka, there's a sutra, the Ksitigarbha Sutra. It was translated during the North and South dynasty, but I couldn't find it in the Tibetan language, in the Tibetan version. Anyhow, there's a story that's included in that sutra. It said that there was once a king and he has many ministers. Out of all of those ministers, there was one whose name is Ksitigarbha, who has the most merit, who has everything at his home. And once all of the ministers were gathered at his palace, and at that time, the wind blew in a big fluffy white towel-ish object. And then all of the ministers, upon seeing it, they all felt quite happy, saying that such a beautiful object, it must be a gift given by the devas to the king. And Kshitika didn't say anything. So the king asked him, "What do you think this is?" And then Kshitika said that, "I do not dare to lie to the king, but this is really just my nose-blowing towel, and it was hanging in my yard. Somehow it's blown into the palace." After a few days, there was a flower that is of the size of a car wheel, and the flower carries 9 different types of colors. It's a beautiful flower. And then all the other ministers said that it must be a very auspicious sign, because this flower is not in the human realm at all. It must be given by the devas. And then Kshitika said that, "Well, I do not dare to lie to the king, but this is really just a mundane withered flower from my garden and blown over here from my garden." The king was quite in awe and said that, "Well, I heard your family is very rich, so can you please take me to take a tour in your family, in your home?" And Kshitika agreed. So the king took 200,000 followers to visit the palace of Kshitika. And upon arriving, they found that this is a completely different world. Everything's beautifully adorned and completely splendid. And at the door, they met this beautiful boy. And the king asked Kshitika, saying that, "Is this your son?" Kshitika said that, "No, that's not my child. This is just my servant." And then later, they saw a beautiful girl, and the king asked, "Is this your daughter?" He said, "No, this is also my maid." After that, Kshitika asked his wife to see the king. And then the wife kept on seeing. Upon seeing the king, the wife kept on crying. And the king asked her why she kept on crying. And she said, "I'm so sorry. The king has so much odor. I can't keep my eyes open." So tears kept on coming out of my eyes. The king said, "No, only the common citizen would use candles, and they would carry odor. I use the best kinds of fragrance." And then Kshitika said, "Well, we don't really use any candles or any fragrance at all. We use this jewel that would lit up naturally at night. So that is why my wife cannot bear the smoke and the odor coming from the king's coming from the king's clothing." So upon the tour, which took about a month, the king saw the silver-made walls and the crystal-made floor, and everything's really marvelous. The palace has 10 stories, is 10 stories high and really grand. About 1 month of touring, the king said the other ministers advised the king, saying that, "Noble king, you should really go back to your own palace so that you can rule your country. Otherwise, your country would be of no governance." And the king said, "Well, Kshitika is my retinue. Why is that I don't have whatever he has?" So the king gathered 400,000 military to take down Kshetika's palace so that he can have the palace. And then at the gate, there was one guard who's guarding the palace of Kshetika. He has the an object that looks like a Vajra, and just simply by turning that Vajra, 400,000 of military soldiers were all defeated, and everyone fell down on the ground. And then Kshitika said that, why is everyone sleeping on the ground? And that's when the king felt know that he is at defeat. So the king asked Kshitika to go and see the Buddha with him. And the king asked, why is Kshitika have so much merit? So the Buddha said that because Kshitika was a merchant, 500 and merchant guide to the 500 merchants. And once upon getting back the jewels from another continent, and then they saw an ill practitioner on the way, and then the merchant generated lots of compassion to that person, so he provided residence and meal and clothing and everything. And because of that merit, he is very abundant. He enjoys such abundance in this lifetime. It's quite a long story, isn't it? Anyhow, this story tells us that we should provide meal and livelihood to the practitioners, and the merit would be really great. Of course, at the same time, after giving to the others with great compassion, we should not feel that we have to gain benefit from it. Otherwise, we're practicing generosity with a sense of trading, with a mind of trading. This is not good. Sometimes I feel it's difficult to do, because upon providing to some students, later after they graduate, they don't even talk to me. And at that time, I would feel upset. But we should definitely not expect anything in return. This is the mind we should make generosity. In the Vipassana Shastra, where it says that the Bodhisattvas, they should benefit all sentient beings rather than benefiting themselves, because generosity is not a trade, it's not a market trade. So we should not have a sense of trading on a market in terms of generosity. We should not think that we're making offerings to the others for our happiness, for our abundance in this life or next life. In the Agama Sutra, it says that if one were to make offering to me, to the past Buddhas, and such kind of merit is such kind of merit of making offering to me is really of no other of making offering to the illness, to the sick ones. So the Buddha said that making offering to the Buddha is of no other than making offering to the sick ones. Therefore, many people who want to make offering to the ones who already have abundance in materialistic providing, such as a guru, it is better to provide to the poor people. Then that kind of merit is quite great. We should understand that. And then, furthermore, Ksitigarbha, in the future, if the aforementioned blessed people from kings to Brahmins giving alms as outlined in these aforementioned examples, they shall receive immeasurable blessings. So all the other beings should also study
然后就是佛有告诉这个地藏王菩萨，
this
在
kind
未
of
来世当中， 如
actions,
果有三难者、
because
三
if
逆
they
人
can
于这个佛法当中啊，就是做一
further
些少的这
dedicate
个
these
善根
virtuous
啊，就
deeds
像
to
是毛发一
Dharmadhatu,
样的，
regardless
就
how
像一颗
much
沙子一样
merit
的，一
they
粒
were
一粒微尘
dedicated,
一样的，这
then
样的
they
这个
shall
功德的话呢，
eventually
那
become
么所得
Buddhas.
到的这种功德呢，也是就是不可所得到的这个利益呢，就是没办法用
These were
用这个
also
比喻来这个说明，尤
intermediate
其是以菩
reward
提心
of
来设置的
such
话呢，哪
beings
怕是这
such
个
as
供一干
Shakra,
当也
Great
好，
Brahma,
或
and
者说是
Chakravartin.
就是我们这个
Hence,
供养和布施的
Ksitigarbha
话呢，就是并不是
sentient
是它
beings
的这
should
个
be persuaded
就无
to
知的大效
follow
吧
these
比如说一个
examples.
人就是他
Moreover,
供养1万
Ksitigarbha
块
in
钱
the
就是然
future,
后自
if
私自利的
virtuous
心，
men
还有
or
一种这
women
个
plant
自我宣扬
some
的心的话
virtuous
呢，功德
roots
不一定
in
很
the
大。
Buddha
一个人
Dharma,
呢，就是
be
就
it
供养
light
布
as
施1块
light
钱的话呢，
as
他
a
用那个
hair
什么，
or
就
dust,
是用这
the
个菩
resulting
提心来设
benefit
置的
will
话
be
呢，那这个
beyond
功德是不可思议。
comparison.
就像我们
So
先一
even
集里
if
面
you make
这个什么
offerings
这
such
个毗尼
as
供灯的这
a
个公案
hair,
一
a
样的，
sand
就是那这
grain,
个
or a
声闻
dust,
缘觉也是
this
没
kind
办
of
法去
merit
吹灭的啊，
cannot
就是
be
这个功德呢，就是没办法用
cannot
比
be
喻来这个说明
comprehended,
的。
especially
这个
if
佛告
one
诉
were
地
to
藏
make
王
such
菩萨，未来
offering
世
with
当中呢，如果有三难子、
with
三逆人遇到这
bodhicitta.
个佛的这种形象啊，菩萨的这个形象，不管是坦卡也好，塑像也好，然后这
Additionally,
个辟支佛
Ksitigarbha,
啊，
in the
就是
future,
声
there
闻，
may be
声闻
virtuous
的话呢，
men
有时
or
候出
women
现
who
一点的，有时候
encounter
是没有的，
statues
所
or
以
images
声闻的这种
of
像呢，
Buddhas,
就是
Bodhisattvas,
就
Pratika
经常
Buddhas,
是
or
好像我们那
Chakravartins.
个汉地的那些说忏文课，还有一些佛菩萨的明经当中的话呢，
Whenever
有
we
时候声
see
闻
the
的这个
tanka
像
or
就是
statues,
比你这个什么什
actually,
么声闻是
not
比较
many
少一点的，
statues
然后辟支佛呢就是多一
of
点的，所以声闻可能辟支佛呢就是稍微有一点利他心吧，
of
然后
Shravakas,
声闻的话呢就是利他心不强，
especially
所
in
以
the
他经
confession
常呢就是
liturgy of
到这个诸佛菩萨的团队里面的时候，就是有时候是经常上不来了。
mainland tradition, they don't
那
really
么这个辟
say
支佛的形象也
prostrate
好，还有
to
这
the
个专轮王啊，
Shravakas.
专轮王
There
虽
are
然在世间
prostration
当中还是
towards
福报很
the
大的，就
Pratika
是
Buddhas.
专轮王。
Maybe Pratika
如果
Buddha
这个
has
不是供
more
养的话呢，那得到的这个福德
has
呢，就是
more
无量无边
compassion.
的啊，就长期呢，就是在人天当中呢，就是相互这个
They
殊
do
胜
not
的妙
really
的。
appear
如果
in
能以
lots of
这
the
个法界会
liturgies.
相啊，就是以
Anyhow,
菩提心来设
these
置，就是做会相的话呢，那么
kinds
这个
of
人呢，就是福利都是啊，就是不可遇的，就是不
if they can make
不可
offerings
这
and
个
give alms to the
就是
statue or
利用
image,
这
and
个
they
比喻
shall
来这个说明
attain
啊，就
immeasurable
是
benefit. They shall
以
often
前
be
那个
born
我
in
们
the
的这
human
个
and
好像那
heavenly
个先
realms
解
to enjoy
前夫
great
一眼经里
happiness.
面，
If
前
they
夫一眼经
dedicate
里面
these
讲，我们的
virtuous
那个
deeds
先解
to
前夫的
Dharmadhatu,
话
the
呢，实
benefit
际上是以
attained
前
by
就是
them
有一个
will
人，
be
好像当时
incomparable.
他们就变成了1000个儿子的时候呢，就是他们有一次看到有
According
一个
to
人就
the
是手里拿
causes
着
and
佛像，
conditions
然后
sutras
他们
of
去用莲花
1,000
就是
Buddhas,
去
it
供
says
养，
that
就是以这个
in
发
the
愿和功德的话
Vajrakalpa,
呢，就是将来就成为
the
这个
1,000
先解前
Buddhas
夫
of
一样的，所
Vajrakalpa,
以有时候
when
是
they
可能
were
哪怕
at
是
the
这
state
个我
of
们在那个
causal
以前
stage,
王这个故事当中的
there
话呢，就
was
是以前那
one
个
person who
我
has
们这
1,000
个
sons, and
儿子
once
的时候，就
he
是
saw
他把
that
有一个
one
画，就是
person,
他跟这
another
个我
person
们
was
一起
holding
这
a
个
Buddha
供养
statue.
就是发愿，
Therefore,
就
all
以
of
这个
them
原因
made
的话呢，就是将来就变成金饭王子
made
等等，就是这个
offering
因缘是真的是
with
不可思议，而且我们
lotus
这个
flower, and
发
with
愿
the,
也是
this
很重
kind
要。我们每
of
天念
merit
念念
and
经的
their
时候呢，
supreme
自己就是
aspiration,
不可能所有
they
的时间
made
都是你
the
的惯性，但至
cause
少
to
也是
become
我
the
今天就
1,000
是所得
Buddhas
到的这
of
些所有的
Vajrakalpa.
这种善根呢，就是回向天下无边的
Also,
一切众生。
the
同时的话呢，就是让我
previous
深深
life
实实呢，
of
就是
the
具有
Buddha
这
when he
个
was
什么祈
a
祷圆满
prince.
啊等等。
He
这样
made
的这个
offering
发
of
善
a
愿是
flower along with a
很重要
Brahmin
的，
woman,
尽量的不发
and
恶缘啊，就是
for
这个
that
很重
reason
要。
he became
那么
the
佛告诉
prince
这个
of
这个地藏王菩萨，就
Shuddhodana.
是说是未
So
来
the
世当中如果
causes
有
and
三难子
conditions
三
and
逆人呢，遇
aspirations
到这
are
个大
definitely
乘经典
very
啊，就是像这个
important
金
and
刚经也好，我们的
inconceivable.
这个
Therefore,
这里
whenever
的
we
这个地
chant
藏经也好，还
the
有妙法
King
莲花
of
经啊，微
Aspiration,
末
we
期
should
经啊，我们还是
visualize
这
that
几
we're
年的话呢，
dedicating
应
the
该
merit
是
to all
也是降了很多的
immeasurable
这个大
sentient
乘经
beings,
典嘛。
and may
如
we
果
have
听闻这个
all
一
the
个偈颂，或
virtuous
者是一句话
and
啊，
perfect
就是它这
conditions
个
to
一个
benefit sentient beings. Moreover, Ksitigarbha, in the future, there may be virtuous men or women who come across Mahayana sutras or hear only one stanza or phrase of a sutra. Whenever we hear any stanzas from the Ksitigarbha Sutra, the Diamond Sutra, the Lotus Sutra, and Vimalakirti Sutra, And all of those sutras, if we were to only hear one stanza, such as all actions are impermanence, such as something very simple from the Mahayana Sutras, then if we were to generate a great vast mind and great happiness and admiration and praises, then that kind of merit would be immeasurable, especially if we can make dedication of merit with such kind of selfless bodhicitta, then the merit would definitely be inconceivable. When Vasubandhu was reciting sutras, a pigeon heard a few stanzas, and we know that how the merit was inconceivable. We know that story. Another sutra also talked about when a person was washing his hand when he was chanting the Avatamsaka Sutra, and while he was washing his hand, some little insect drowned in that water, in that hand washing water, and then that little insect were reborn in the celestial realm, and then later paid gratitude towards this person who chanted Avatamsaka Sutra. Therefore, whenever we chant, whenever we listen to the Dharma, there are lots of animals and non-humans, they can also gain benefits. So, knowing that whenever I give teachings, I also try to encourage others to bring their children, their parents, and grandparents, though knowing that especially kids at a young age, they could get very noisy, they could cry and maybe throw a tantrum, but I think this is still quite important to bring them to the Dharma teachings and listen to the sutras and attend Dharma assemblies, because when they get such kind of familiarization with the Dharma, it could bring great influence to their whole life. They would remember that they listened to so-and-so teaching and went to so-and-so Dharma assembly when they were young. Even if they don't understand, but that could be very important. That impression is very important. That sound of Dharma is very important. Of course, to bring them to an actual Dharma assembly would be difficult, but now we can play the sound from computers or radios, and then people around you, your family members, do not have any faith, they could also be benefited, even if they don't even like the sound. Furthermore, Ksitigarbha, in the future, there may be virtuous men or women who come across Buddhist monasteries and Mahayana sutras. If these monasteries and sutras are new, then they make their offerings, say praises and pay respect with their palms joined. If these monasteries and sutras are old or damaged, then they restore it. Maybe mend it, restore it. Of course, if you can make aspiration and do it yourself, that would be great. Even if you can't do it alone, you can encourage others to do it along with you. It does not matter if they do these restorations by themselves or persuade others to assist in the effort. Those who were persuaded to assist shall often be reborn as kings of small nations for 30 lifetimes. These people who persuade others to repair the damaged monasteries and sutras shall be reborn as Chakravartins. In the future, these Chakravartins will instruct these kings of small countries and transform them, brought the Buddha Dharma. So in 30 lifetimes after they become the king, all the citizens would also gain benefit.
然后佛
Okay, not
就
too
是
much
复次
left.
呢，就是佛告诉这个地藏王菩萨，未来世当中呢，如果有三男子三女人，于这个佛法当中啊，就是所种的这些善
Additionally,
根啊，
Katish-
就是在这
Kshitigarbha,
个
in the
哪
future,
怕是这个听一
there
堂课
may
也
be
好，
virtuous men
做
or
一次的
women
这
who
个功
plant
课也好，
virtuous roots
我们有些
in
人
the
说是
Buddha
哎，功
Dharma.
课不
Even
能
if
间
you
断，一
listen
间
to
断就
one
不能用
class,
啊，就护法僧不
even
高
if
兴，
you
佛菩萨不高
practice
兴。其实
once,
不是这样的，间断的没事，
there are
就是
people
这
who
个
would say that
只要
you
你
should
这个
not
不要永远断了，
interrupt
永远断了可
your
能不是
practice.
很好的，就只
You
要你
should
有一
practice
这
every
个
day.
其实人好
Well,
像是
in
真
fact,
的有
if
这
you
种心还是会有变化的。
interrupt,
比如
if
说
your
你一段时
practice
间
is
特别想念经
interrupted
那
once
一段时间的话呢，没有
or
人
for a
兴
short
趣
period
一
of
段时
time, it's
间的话呢
okay
你
as
很
long
想
as you
就是什么
don't
科图啊之类的
interrupt
就
your
人就是还
practice
是有
for a
很多
whole
的冒
life.
险和心理研究，但最终来
If you
讲
do
的话
not
呢，最
interrupt,
好是
that's
把所有的
wonderful.
这些呢，
But I
暂时可能
understand
你的
that
烦
people's
恼
mind
现
could
前啊、
change.
生病啊，或者是你的这个
For
心情不
example,
好
for a
啊，
period
可
of
能
time, you
一
really
段
want
时
to
间有一
chant
些间断的
Diamond
话呢，
Sutra,
我
but
觉得
after a
这
little
就
while, you
是
don't have
可能
that
也没
interest
办法，就
anymore.
是如果修行特别好
Maybe
的
for
话，
a
可
period
能
of time, you
就
really want
是
to
就
practice
是跟着
prostration.
这个
But
就是每
people
天都
have
是像一天
lots
一
of
样的，就
negative
是他就
karmas and
不会
lots
有
of
什么这
bad
个此起
habits.
彼伏的
They
这种
would
情绪吧。
get very
但有些人
excited
的话呢，
about the
因为
new
烦恼，因
practice
为环
and
境啊，
then
因为工
abandon
作啊，
their
因为
old
家庭啊，
practices.
各种各样的
Or
压力，就所以
temporarily
一
they
段时
may
间呢，
have
就是自
some
己觉得修行
afflictions
也
and they
很
may
好
get
啊，
ill,
从
they
此
may
这
have
个
bad
我要
mood.
发什么什么愿
And
呐，我们有些佛教徒说
sometimes
开心的时候
interruption
就
of
发各种各样的
practices
善愿，就是
just
然后准
happens.
备就是
And
什么
there's
就是
really
这个
not
自
much
己
we can
的
do
时
about the
间安排的
interruptions.
这个早上几点钟
But
起来，晚
of
上几
course,
点
there
钟睡，
are great
我从现在
practitioners
开
who
始
don't
一定要
interrupt
有
at
有
all, and
规
they would
则的，
practice
有
every
这个
day.
按
They don't
部
have
就班
any
的，
of
就
those
是一
ups
定
and
是
downs.
常
But
年
there
这么
are
的。
people,
再过一
of
段时
course, they
间，
would
就是稍微
encounter
产生一个
afflictions
烦恼
and
的时候，所有
and
的全部
chores
都已
from
经
work
退
and
翻完了，
family
连这个
life.
吃饭的兴
And
趣都没
then
有，就是特
their
别伤心。其实大部分有
practices
时
would
候还
also
是很可怜的，就是他的
fluctuate,
好的这
would
种
also
心态，就是永
fluctuate
远的
with
这样在
time
学
and
下去的
with
话
their
呢，我们应该变
obstacles
成
in
一个
life.
很好的人。就
And
不过呢，就是可
they
能跟
have
人的
to
这个福报还
adjust
是有一定的这个
so that they
关系
can
的，
practice
就是一
again.
定要坚持，就是不要那个
I think
到了
all
一
of
定的
those
时候半途而废，
changes
然后再也就起不来了，就这种是最可怕的、
is
最可怜的。一般来讲，就是自
unavoidable
己的
because
这
of
种这个
people's
有一些
different
变化，
merit.
就是中
But
间有一些
anyhow, we
间
should
断的，
try
有
our
一些
best
退
to
闪。
persist,
这个时候
to
呢，就是不要害
persevere.
怕。
Do
我
not
们
give
凡
up
夫人
halfway.
表面上看呢，就是可能
But
很
in
多人呢，就
general,
是
even if
看不到
you
什么
are
退闪啊变
interrupted
化，但
halfway,
实际
do
上呢，
not
每
get
个人都有
afraid.
烦恼，每个
Do
人都
not
是有这个
retrogress.
缺点的，就是所以这个
Do
时候呢，
not
就是不用特别的
give
紧
up
张害怕，
completely.
对吧？
Because as
那他这
mundane
里也这样
beings,
讲的，
we
就是如果
do
三男子三女
encounter
人在佛法当
changes
中呢，种
and
下
we
一个这
do
个小小
have
的这个
different
善根啊，
shortcomings,
就是 种
but
一
do
点
not
点善
get
根，哪怕是
too
念一句观音
nervous
心
and
咒
too
也好，
anxious about
念一
it.
遍心经
Just
也
simply
好，
come back to
然后在
practice.
那个佛像
So
面前就是
the
站
virtuous
这个
men
一共
and
一
women,
盏灯
if
也好，或者
they
是我们
were
就是每
to
天都是磕几
simply
个头
chant
也好，凡
one
是这个这些
mantra,
善法呢，就是
chant
不能永远
one
放弃的，永
heart
远放弃的
sutra,
话，
or
到时
make
候本身
offering
我们
of
的这
one
个习
lamp
气可能不
in
是很
front
好
of
的
the
啊，就
Buddha
是
statue
如果是
or
像藏地啊，就是不丹啊，就是在这些地方成长的话呢，至少也是可能
prostrate a
他
few
的这个
times
心
in
里的
front
这
of
种
the
怎么讲啊，
Buddha
就是
statue every
这
day,
个
then
业
this
因
kind
果的
of
这种观念呢，就是
virtuous
不会
deeds and
不会
virtuous
改变
actions
的，
should
因为
not
他
be
从
abandoned
小就是
ever.
跟他的这个
Because
人生
we
的这
already
种家
don't
庭
have
就是有一定的惯性，所
great
以他
habitual
从小的
patterns
在这
when
样
we
的
look at
生活当
ourselves.
中
For people
成
who
长
were
的话呢，
born
可能
in
会
Tibet
大的
or
方面不会
Bhutan,
就有特别大的。但我们
our
有一些的
view
话呢，
of
从小的这
karma
种
and
环境啊、
causality
所受
would
的
not
教育啊，
change
周围的这
because
些人
that's
的
how
话
we
呢，
were
基
raised
本
and
上
our
是就
value
是不
won't
不
change.
一样的。
But
然后
if
自
we
己
were
呢，
to
就是
grow
好不
up
容易就
in
是在这个
places
夜晚的这个
黑暗当中闪电一样，就是有一点点善心，
of
但这个善心呢
non-believers.
也是非常的微弱，就像是矿洞里面的这个
That's the
灯一样的，
environment,
就
the
是
general
东着
environment
就
of
是
our
对透
education
明，
and
就是吹
our
灭所以呢，我
society
们自己还
and
是要
community
自
around
己学
you,
会这个维
then
护自己的这种善心。
our
同时呢，我们有些道
kindness
友
is
的
just
话呢，
like
也是
a
一定要帮
lightning
助
in
别
a
人，
dark
这个
night.
别人
It
好
is
像就
very
是推
swift
是正
and
在
very
这个
light,
推是信心
and
啊，
could
或者是他的
disappear
心呢
really
有点不如
quickly,
法的
just
时候
like
呢
the lamp
如果就是自
of
己就
flame
是
in
就
the
比较方便的话，那就是经常要劝导。
blowing
劝导的
light,
时候，有些
blowing
人是
wind.
真的这个通
Therefore,
过
we
这个
need to
全心
learn
致
to
合的话，
protect
本来就
our
是在堕落
kindness.
当中， 但因为
And we need to
当时
help
呢，就是有些
others
人把
not
他
to
我们经常是
retrogress
拉一
with
把
their
就怎么
kindness.
想，就是把他就是开始这个捞出来，就是这样的话呢，最后他自己也是已经稳定下来
People
了。每个人都是
after
有
other
时候是遇
people's
到这个人
guidance,
生的陷阱
maybe
啊，
they
就是
were
可能修
falling
行的这种
into
陷阱，
bad
经常
habits again,
本来
but
是你就入一
maybe
个正道，但
because
是
of other
就是
people's
就
help, they
不小
can
心
be
呢，就是会
saved.
这个掉
And
落在
then
这
they
个
can get
万
back
丈的这
on
个深
their
渊当
right
中，
track
所以
again.
一定要就是
Because
就是观
during
察
a
身
life,
边的人，
during
就
our
看到身边
lifetime,
的
there
人，
can be
越
many
是信
traps.
心的时候，要尽量
Originally,
的就是
there
帮
are
助他
people
人。
who want to step
那
onto the
么
right
这些人
path,
就是
but
在佛法当中不是
accidentally
善
they
根
might
不
fall
是
into
这个
those
还有
traps
这个布
and
施供
never
养啊，还有这个修
able
补
to
佛塔
get
啊，
back
还
again.
有呢
But
就
with
是
other
什么
people's
这个
help, they
真
may
理
be
啊，
able
就是
to
庄严
get
经验，
back
就是比
on
如说
their
有些
track
破
again.
损
So
的
that we
啊，或
need
者
to
说是一
we
些
need to
造
help
那
them.
个有一些
If
经典，就是这
the
个树立，就是
if
真理，就是或者说是这些这个经
these
典的话，那
virtuous
就是
men
有
or
聪信。
women
其实我们
could
有
give
很多佛教也
alms,
特别珍贵的
make
珍贵的
offerings
一些
or
古
restoring
典呐，就是
damaged
奠基，就是
sutras,
现在。
stupas,
然
or
后
monasteries.
像国外的话呢，就是有些国家就是他
Look
特别
at
就重
the
视说把这个故
sutras.
迹，就是
Lots
这
of
个
the
故迹呢，
sutras
哪怕是一个经典有点点破损的话，那就是他通过什么这个各种高科技的
The
方式来，就是把这一
antique
页就是
sutras
怎么布，就是怎么弄，就是他可能花费很
are
多的这种
placed
这个人力
in
财力来，就
great
是
of
我们
great
可能是比如说一
importance
个特别
abroad.
古老的，
They
就是
would
特别珍
spend
贵的一
lots
个
of effort,
什么这个
spend
乾隆
lots
时期的
of
版本啊，这些的话呢，
energy
就
and
就不是
wealth
特别的，所以
with
在
high
这个估计
technology
维护
and
这个估计
lots
和
of
一些在这
human
方面的话呢，我
resources
觉
to
得是亚
also
洲人呢，就是
mend
并不是
it,
很
such as
很那个，
there
就是亚洲当
there
中的话
was
呢，以及
this
个别地
very
方的人的
precious
话呢，
version
好像就是
from
不
Qing
不是
dynasty
特
from
别很
Qianlong's
重视，
time.
所以我们一
In
个
order
哪
to
怕是一
protect
个
that
上市的这个一篇
version
就是
of
一
text,
点点的这个教研的话呢，就是我的
there
以
were
前
many
说过吧，就是我
people
自己的这
abroad
个发
who
愿的
would
话呢，
spend
那
lots
这
of
个上
effort
市的
in
就是哪
protecting
怕
it.
是
But
一个开玩
in
笑
some
的，就是
areas
简单的
in
一句
Asia,
话的话呢，
they
最
don't
好不要
pay
这个
attention
消失
to
在
it
这
at
个世
all.
界当中。即便是现在的人呢，就是他就不一定得到很大的利益，但是再过了10年、20年。过了
made a vow
100年、200
myself
年的
that
时候呢，就是也许可能
even
对众生是
a
非常有
small
利的，因为
teaching
有些上师的这个
from
发愿
the
和发心
guru,
力的话呢，还是
even
不可思
as
议的。
small
它
as
就
a
是针对
joke,
不同时代的这个
let
众
it
生呢
not be
是有利
disappeared
的。所以我们现
in
在呢，就是比如说
this
南方
world.
仁波切啊、全
Though
球光
it
尊者
may
啊，
not
他们的这
benefit
个哪怕
people
是
in
就是
this
一篇
lifetime or
这个
in
教
this
研的话
world,
呢，
but
也是非常
after
正德
a
的。像
decade,
光
two
尊者的话
decade,
呢，
even
他现在
100,
离开
200
就是
years,
我
it
们
could
这
be
个世间的是
very
1600
beneficial
多年嘛，
to
但是
the sentient
就
beings
很
because
多的就是得过
the
他的加持的这些人的
inconceivable
话呢，哪怕是
aspiration
他的一个
of
短短的教
the
研的话呢，
guru,
就像是这
and
个
he
获得
could
了
be
这个
very
金子如
beneficial
宝一样
to
的，就是
sentient
特别
beings
的
of
大家
different
都
times.
渴望。
So
所以
Mipa
我想
Rinpoche,
我们
Longchen
对那个
Pa,
就是
or
对
very
这
short
些
teaching
经典
from
啊、教言啊，还
those
有对一
teachers
些这
could
个
be very
特别珍
precious.
贵的，就是这
Look
些
at
呢，
Longchen
应
Pa,
该要
he
这个
passed
学会
away
这个
for
受戒
600
啊，就
years
是
now,
做这个读
but
书观也
people
好，
are
或者是
still
做一些
receiving
这
his
个文物纪
blessings
念馆也
nowadays.
好，还要
So
做一
even
些
a
这
short
个
teaching
比
could
较就
be
是
like
应该是
a piece
包
of
括有一
gold,
些政府啊，就是就
a
官方认
jewel,
可的有
a
一些，
wish-fulfilling
就因为
jewel.
政府有一些
People
官
all
方认
long
可的一
to
些
receive those
这个
teachings.
图书馆呐，就是这
Therefore,
些的话呢，
lots of
一般
the
是就是它
teachings
不容易
can
这个
be
轻易的这个送返。
collected
如果是
in
个人名义的话呢，就是可能到一定的时候
libraries
呢，会容易
and
这个毁坏，就是所
the
以还是有一
museums
种，原
should
来
be
我都
built
是有
and
一
should
个那
be
个唐卡，就是让当时是地产活佛给的，
and
实际上
we
应该
should
这个是很出
contribute
名的一个唐卡。后来我给一个这
really
个政府的
special
文物馆里面，我
books
想是
to
暂
those
时是不会这个比
those
较可靠一些，但不知
libraries,
道具体怎么
those
样。
official
所以有时候
libraries
可
and
能会让我
museums.
们这个
Otherwise,
比较
it
珍
could
贵
be
的东
very
西的话
easily
呢，
be
就是应该
destroyed.
不要放在
I
自己
had
的
a
这
very
个口袋里
famous
面，不
tanka
然你死的时
given
候呢，
by
就是你的亲人就是把
Tokudija,
它烧
and
了，就是
later I
或者是
donated
给
to
别人，就是有
an
可能最
official
珍贵的
museum,
东西
and
呢，
I
还是
thought that would be
放在一个
very
比较这个就是
reliable.
有这种
I'm
官
not sure.
方的这个保护的，就是这种这个像以前那个
In fact, I think it is the
英
best
国的
way
这
to
个大英博
protect
物馆里
those
面的话呢，
precious
很多这个
object
这种
rather than
藏书
keeping
也
it
好，很多这
at
种文物
our
的话
own
呢，
pockets.
以前就是
Otherwise,
他们
after we
就是有
die,
不同的这个历史吧，有
your
各种不同的历史，所以
relatives
这个也
may
是
not
是
know
就
the
是可以说是
importance
壮
of
丽的
those
一个景
objects
点
and
吧，
then
就是乃
maybe
至
would
这个一毛一
reincarnate,
尘啊，还有这个一
maybe
沙一地啊，
put
就是一
into
点，就是
maybe would burn them into ashes. So we should definitely protect those precious objects where in the official museums where it can be protected, such as the Great Britain Museum and museums like such. And there are lots of collections of Tibetan books and antiquaries from different histories. Even to one hair, one dust, one sand, and one grain, one little bit of aspiration, even as small as chanting Namo Amitabha, Namo Shakyamuni Buddha, and the 6 syllables mantra or the Bodhisattva mantra, any little bit of virtuous root, we should accumulate them, we should keep them and maintain them. Unlike how when people are just like how the business people would want to keep a little bit of profit, we should accumulate our merit. At the same time, we should learn to rededicate the merit to Dharmadhatu. So these people shall gain great merit and receive great happiness in the future hundreds of thousands of lifetimes. If they dedicate the virtuous deeds to their relatives or for their own benefit, they shall only receive happiness for 3 lifetimes from the fruition of their virtuous deeds. All these are examples of giving up one blessing and receive tens of thousands of blessings in return. Hence, Ksitigarbha, these are the causes and effects of giving alms. Look at the merit over here. Over here it says that if our dedication of merit is that may I be happy and healthy and safe, then you can only receive the merit of 3 lifetimes. But in this way, you're really giving up blessings that you could receive hundreds and thousands in return. When I was giving translations, this is my translation. I think this is a better way of translating this part from Chinese, because in this way you're really giving up hundreds and thousands of kalpas of happiness if you were to only rededicate merit for yourself. Everyone's translation and explanation of Ksitigarbha could be different. So over here, we're coming to the end of this chapter. We have 2 or 3 chapters. 12th chapter has a little bit more. The 11th and 13th chapter has less content, so we shall stop here today. Zo